So both are clear to you?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Everything is
Oh,
fine.
cool, great. Okay.
Okay. So let's start with your brief introduction and your technical background.
Yeah, sure. Uh, so myself, I'm basically located in Hyderabad now. So, and when it comes to my technical expertise, I'm around 7 years of experience into this industry. So from past couple of past 4 years, I'm working in Cognizant, and there have been to multiple projects. So I worked around total four projects, and the main thing I worked on was Java Spring Boot was the base foundation, and also I was into multiple clouds. In the first project, we are using AWS. Then in the second project, again we used AWS only. In the third project, we are it's a combination of AWS and GCP. So like that I was into multiple clouds, and as well as in the first project we are into some deployment stuff. So there I was into Docker and some Kubernetes testing. And yeah, when it comes to technically like this, you want me to explain the project, or how?
You can just explain me like what are the technology and on which cloud tech stack you have experience.
Yeah, so I have worked in AWS. So in AWS, I was in having experience on S3 and Cassandra, and managed Kafka, and managed RDS. And also we worked on the second project. We worked for the machine learning. So there we have exposure to the
Mm-hmm.
SageMaker. So where we are using the machine learning models, and also have exposure to ML flow, where we are fine tuning the models and plotting the different things that the models are performing fine or not.
Okay.
And next projects I worked on the when it comes to cloud. So I worked on the Azure, so where we have the creating the Cosmos DB, and doing some manipulation over there and passing it to the functions. And in the next project, I worked on GCP, where we from the Azure we send the data to GCP to a bucket, and there we transform the buckets into a uh, BigQuery tables. Yeah. So on the high level, those on these three clouds, I worked on the high level.
Mm-hmm.
But the base, most of the things were interacting from basic to the cloud. We started from the Spring and Java itself. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was using SQL and MySQL, both the things based on the customer requirements. So we used to store sometimes in SQL and sometimes in MySQL. If the like in the first project I was working for the IoT domain, where there is expected of million devices, so there will be that data will be very huge. So we did no SQL over there, and whenever you want to store the minimal amount of data, we are storing it in SQL, and with the faster retrieval. Yeah.
Great, great. Okay. Uh, so let's start with very first question. Let's suppose you are working on some larger Spring Boot application. So just tell me how would you manage configuration for multiple environment, and at the same time you will ensure sensitive data such as password and other stuffs.
Yeah, so when it comes to managing multiple configurations, we use profiles, and we have multiple different properties for different thing. So that is one way we can do. But the best way is like the best way that people prefer doing that way. But the best way we understood after going through various changes, we understood that same configurations kept in a different, like for example, if we are deploying it in the dev environment, we have a separate cluster over there, and we have only one application properties, and in this, and we have a secrets, and that we store it in the whichever cloud we are doing. Like for example, in the cloud of AWS means we store it in a secret manager. And what happens means like whenever we need secrets, we'll take it from there. And when we are deploying into the test or QA environment, so that time we have the same application properties, but there we change the configurations we have external configurations. Example, like last client where I worked on, so they store the certificates and this passwords
Mm-hmm.
in a different way. So they store it in a different way. So there we can manually write the passwords, and we can encrypt there itself. So it will be automatically done. So that is one more way. So the best way I felt was like storing it in separately rather than having a multiple profilings. but profiling is good concept. But when it comes when we are handling with the microservices,
Mhm.
that's little typical to manage. So we shifted to that approach. Yeah, but better. Like, both are better only.
Okay. So, and what are the authentication authorization strategy you guys followed in a Spring Boot application?
So we mostly followed JWT, which is stateless. So we used JWT token. So whenever we hit the microservices, the first will go to the
Mhm.
security filter, and there it will first validate whether the JWT token is valid or not, whether the particular user is valid or not. So once the user validation is done, then we'll see the authority, like whether he has that particular authority, and we'll see the token expiry day, expiry thing also. And once we understand that he has authorized to what particular API which is requesting for, then we'll move it to the controller, and controller will return the response.
Okay. Okay. Let's suppose you have to create one RAG-based chatbot application. So while designing architect for that application, what would be the consideration?
Designing the chatbot application is mostly a singleton, like a single application, like a what do I say, single page application. So it mostly, like whenever we have this post, like whenever we are sending a message, so it will be a post call which will go to a backend service, and if already, like it will see the for particular this query. So whether if like we have any response, so we'll be like it's a WebSocket will be the better approach. So it will both will be interacting, and we'll be sending the messages. WebSocket we can use. Uh, so you're asking in backend level, or you're asking in a complete structure, like complete design. You're asking.
No, I'm just asking at a high architect level.
Yeah, high architect level, we'll create a one simple UI thing. So where it will be in a React. So where we'll use a send operation. The send like the actions we'll use. So in the UI, so that will send the request to the backend, and in the backend we check the data, whether the for this particular query any information is there or not. So if it is there, we'll respond back, and if it is not there, we will try to connect, like we'll give a standard response that will be connecting to the like the main customer service will be touch with you, something like that. Or if something is emergency, then we'll create a request, and we will push it to the separate teams with a mail, like based on the customer priority, selecting those things. We'll create a form, and in that form we'll make the P1, P2, P3. So if it is high priority one, so we'll be triggering the mails to the particular teams, and we'll create a Jira if required. So those kind of automations can be done as of now.
Okay. Okay, I'm giving you a short program. Can you write it? Let me enable the editor. Let me know once the editor is visible at your screen. Is it visible?
Yeah, editor is visible.
Okay. So basically, you need to create one REST endpoint uh, for deleting a user ID,
Okay.
and at the same time, you have to send it response HTTP status code and one small logger for port tracing. You can apply it there.
Log. Okay. Right. These are the two. Like
Yeah,
you need a list.
delete the user
List.
ID, response status code, and log. Yeah. So just implement it for delete.
Okay, sure.
You
I
may
can
also
see.
manage a team.
Yeah, yeah, I manage a team of four.
Do you want any example scenario, or you can pick by yourself?
Yeah, yeah. Not required as of now. We do it in STS, right? So everything will come
Yeah, yeah.
by default.
Don't bother about the syntax. I can understand that.
Okay, okay. Because some
Just
spelling
focus
mistakes
on the
will be there
logical
because
part.
yeah, a lot of spelling mistakes may come. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's that.
Don't worry. Lot of the interviewer will look for the proper executable code, but don't worry about it. I can understand the pain of developer.
Okay, that's great.
Always we don't remember the each and every code.
Yeah, yeah, that is the main problem with when it comes to interviews.
But I believe if anyone know how it work, then definitely it can write by anyone.
Yeah, true. Actually, before we used to use auto white, but now with industry's practices, we should not use auto white. So that's why I'm just creating
Mhm.
this way.
So which version of Spring Boot are you using?
We are using more than three only, like about 3.10 11 like that.
Okay.
Just keeping the random methods.
Mhm. Okay, how it different from normal controller?
Yeah, from normal controller, what happens means here and stuff. I need to mention the what like I have to mention the response body, like how it looks. So normal controller will return it in a HTML, like whatever we want. We have to mention everything over there. But in the REST controller, it will automatically give the expected things in a nice formatted way.
Mhm.
Yeah, something like this. Yeah, we will get some confirmation from the service whether based on the survey, like you want me to like complete service layer and the repository also, or only controller
No,
is
no,
fine.
that's well enough. Basically, it was screening for your coding stuff. Of course,
Okay.
7 year experience is well enough, but it's our duty.
Yes, yes, true. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh, okay, so let's consider a scenario. Let some new member is onboarded in your team, and we all know, like for a new employer, there is a bit of difficulties while collaborating with rest of the team. So, have you faced any kind of challenges in your
Yeah,
team or with
yes.
you on? So, how will you address those kind of scenario, especially when you are leading the team?
Yeah, so this is actually what happens whenever like it's actually two types of people will be there. Some like we call them as introverts and extroverts. So if
Yeah, correct.
yeah, so if the people are like very introvert, so it's very difficult. Like, and during this, we are in a generation of like before hybrid, we have complete lockdown, and we don't know whether what the person is like. If we are telling something, if they are not responding, like
Mhm.
if we are telling something very strictly, and we want them to follow, and if they are not responding, then we'll be in a different state, like we don't understand whether they are able to understand what we are saying, or they are not listening, or they kept the phones, like they kept it in the laptop there and they went. We don't know these kind of scenarios, right? So we face most of the issues when it's an lockdown period in the COVID time. But after that, it was normal. But when in the COVID time, what we have done nicely was like every Friday or every Wednesday, we had a daily connect through call.
Mhm.
So that made like, and we used to like have a like every week we used to get like I used to give a task to explain a concept. So we work on different clouds or different services, right? So I give a task to give a presentation. Like if they are new to this things, so then I will tell them to create a documentation or create a new service
Mhm.
and explain that service to us. So that time what happens means definitely they have to interact with the other persons and get the information, right?
Mhm.
So that time, so when they interact with others, then we used to get like we used to know about them whether they are able to understand the things or not. So we used to under like in that way we used to collaborate. So that is one way. And it is very difficult when it comes to introvert. Even when they give task, when we give task to them, they will not be asking others, and they will do something by themselves, and which is sometimes with difficult to understand what they are doing, and it's difficult to predict them.
Oh, very, it's a painful process.
Yeah, so it's very difficult. So that time we face so many difficulties. Like we talk to them, we ask so many things, but they don't respond. So sometimes we have to leave some people. That's what I understood. Like if we keep on like there is always a like 80% of the work will be done by only two people. Remaining 20% of the work we need to done by remaining two people. Like I'm telling you that for example, like four people thing
Yeah,
sometimes.
correct, correct, correct. It's a absolutely dark truth of IT industries.
Yeah, yeah. So we want every like we always want to divide equal work, but since we don't know about their capabilities or they are not willing to come up, so sometimes these business things also will be there, right? So you have to manage minimum four people or five people under you. Then only you'll be. Then only we'll take into consideration some of the prime metrics. So we can't fire or we can't say anything to them, and
Great, great,
so yeah.
great. I guess I must say you have a quite lot of experience addressing
Yes,
those things. Okay,
yes.
okay, come back to the technical part. So let's suppose, okay, before that, let me know, have you ever engaged with deployment portion?
Yeah, so in the starting, like whenever we start the new projects, right? So that time we and DevOps team should sit together and do some debugging stuff, and then we finalize the plan for the deployment things. So yeah.
Okay. So, what would be your Kubernetes deployment strategy, especially in terms of microservices application, and at the same time, we are considering for zero downtime.
Okay, so zero downtime is little bit costly operation actually. So To be frank, we always tried that, but most of the 99% of the times it will not happen.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, only 1% of the time it happens when the customer
Mm.
very rare of the rare scenarios when we have a new service, that time only the things 99 like we achieve that. But
Mhm.
whenever it's a old service, we always have a like the customer depends on mostly on the customer like the requirements.
Mhm.
So if customer is like, for example, we handle a notification service, so there they have different type of notifications which customer is expecting, and in the next release they are expecting to add some more new features. So
Mhm.
what we have done was we created everything and we kept it in a cache, and we kept a cache turnaround time of 24 hours.
Mhm.
So without doing any change, just by deploying. So when we are deploying, we have a canary deployment, and so those different types of deployment strategies we have, blue, green, or like that. So one service, like once we deploy, the new pod will be up and the old pod will be down. But since some of the things will be there in the old pod and the cache refresh, so some of the issues we faced. But what we have done was we developed a centralized database. So where we store very minimum things of things, and even though if we restart, if we change to another pod, so the data will be there. So like that we have done. So when it comes to our main strategy for the Kubernetes is whenever we push a code, so if there is not major change, we directly go for the deployment, and the downtime will be very minimal, very less. So we go for CI/CD only. So once we push the code, so that code will get pulled in the Docker, and we push it to the artifact store. And from artifact store, the Kubernetes will take the file, and it will check the configurations, like to check the service file and the deployment file for that particular service, and
Mhm.
it will scale up or scale down in that particular way. And if it is a very critical applications, we are going for canary. So where we check, maybe we'll first allow 30-40% of the traffic to the new pod, and remaining part to the old traffic. So that means the old one. So if the new pod is, means the new one is performing well, so we check that matrix, and we have a Grafana dashboard. So we have a checking mechanism of
Mhm.
things, whether the new pod is performing well or not. Like the memory consumption or JVM, so if it is high or low. So based on that, if we give a go ahead after 24 to 72 hours based on the criticality of the application. So once we give go ahead, so all the old pods will decommission, and the new pods will scale up to the configured way which we expect.
Okay. So, have you done any performance testing for your application?
Yeah, so yeah, we have done the performance testing. We used to have a very so we have a microservices. So we have around 21 to 22 microservices. So what happens means the customer expects to get like the fund when the first microservice hit, he wants like we have around completely to go for 7 to 8 flows.
Mhm.
So the customer is expecting it should be in a less than a 10 second, or sometimes they expect less than a 4 second based on the message. So that time we have done the performance testing. We used a JMeter. So we send a request to the first microservices. So that microservices internally have a Kafka. So that Kafka, by a Kafka, it goes to other services, and somewhere it uses REST template also. So in that way, like we used to take the first endpoint where it is we are sending the request, and we used to hit the last endpoint with the same request, and we used to expect the response.
Mhm.
And we used to calculate how much was the time, like P95, P90, how much like that. So in
Okay.
that way,
Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. Uh, I have a last question for you. Let's suppose if we have a existing application that is run on Java 8 version, and suddenly the stakeholder or a client demands we need to migrate it to Java 21. Okay. So,
yeah.
what are the consideration you will have to perform this, and how will you address this?
So to update to different versions, sometimes what happens means the same issue with the Spring also. So sometimes if we update, like some customers expect to update a Spring, or sometimes they expect to update this Java version.
Mhm.
So we face this issue. Like we have around I told like 20 applications. So when like first we try with the least getting affected application, we'll try to change the Java version, and we see like after updating the Java version, some of the things get deprecated, and we get the compile time errors. So first we try to address the compile time errors. If it is very feasible, and let's say like it is very maybe like if we have 100 files in that, if we are getting compilation errors for 5 to 10 or maybe 20 files, so we'll try to solve that, and we'll try to deploy and see, and we will calculate the time. So during for this small application only we took this much time, but when it comes to critical application, we say that there might be a downtime, or some of the issues like what may be coming, and every time enhancements gives the good things, but every time we are updating also like creates unnecessary work. So if the application is working fine, and if you are updating again, so it will always take the time, and the features which we want to develop newly also will get affected.
Mm-hmm.
So we calculate all those metrics, and we give a kind of a presentation like if we do this, what are the changes will happen in the service layer, and what are the things will happen. But it's sometimes it's actually a cat and ball situation to upgrade or to first focus on the future. So if it is must to update on the version, then we say like the future will get extended. So we have to either take that or take this. Sometimes they expect synergy. That's where burnout becomes more. Yeah, we should invest more time and more effort on that. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's well enough from my end side.
Yeah.
Do you have any question for me?
No, no, not much. Yeah, this is like I just like it's nice talking to you, and the way questions,
Yeah,
and
for me as well.
yeah, yeah, I got like I was just remembering what I have doing from last some days. So that's what asking. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Very soon HR will contact you regarding your
Yeah,
feedback.
yeah,
Yeah. Have a
yeah, yeah.
great day. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Good day.